When you're in trouble and you need someone to help you out, there's no need to whistle and there's no need to shout. Hey, 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 hey! Help is on its way. Call the Koala Brothers. Call the Koala Brothers. Call the Koala Brothers. Butt lovers, very serious question. How are you guys? Welcome back to the Lore series where we take a look at TV shows no one else is brave enough to. And we make it way deeper than it is for shits and giggles. As always, my videos are not intended for children. The Koala Brothers aired from 2004 to 2007 with 79 episodes overall. According to Wikipedia, the creator of the show bought back the rights to the series in 2014. So to support it, I wanted to watch the official YouTube playlist, and it's so out of order. You're the official YouTube channel. Put it in order. Anyway, the first episode I watched, even though it's not the first episode, is Archie's School! Archie is a jock crocodile. A jockadile, if you will. You need to leave! And he twists his ankle right before the big tennis contest. In the scene where Archie tries to keep his injury a secret, we have the narrator explain his thought process.
They mightn't let him take part in the tennis tournament.
And these over-explaining narrators that we hear so frequently in kid shows almost always give off the best vibes. So cozy, dude. This show is like having a sweet Australian dad read you a bedtime story. And this would have cured me of, like, let me crunch the numbers real quick. Carry the one. 100% of the mental health issues I've had. The Koala Brothers know something's going on with Archie right away after he loses to Josie in a tennis match, and also when George the Turtle Mailman beats him in a race. The narrator even goes so far as to explain,
the Koala Brothers were getting a bit worried about Archie. Josie and George had never beaten him at anything.
I love how so much of their worry comes from a place of just knowing their friends that well. I can't do an Australian accent, but that won't stop me from trying. Did you hear? Josie won at a sport. Oh, well, good for her, eh? Nor, you don't understand. She lost to Archie. Archie, that crocky bastard always beats us at everything. Alright, let's check on him. At best, he's having an off day. At worst, he might be dead. This dude is so stubborn, as the Koala Brothers are trying so hard to gentle parent him, saying, it's okay if your leg hurts, you can tell us, because they noticed his obvious limp from thousands of feet in the air. And Archie goes, Nor, look at this, I'm fine. And he hops into the air, applying 110% of his weight onto the injured ankle. And he immediately falls screaming in pain. I got secondhand embarrassment, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like this sounds like an I think you should leave bit. Oh, dude, what happened to your finger? Nothing. Why would you say that? The giant bandage on. Oh, this one, it's just my costume for the play that I'm in. At that theater? Mm-hmm. Oh, sick! What character do you play? I mean, obviously one whose finger is broken, but mine's not, okay? If my finger was broken, could I do this? Ah! Ow! Ow! Call an ambulance! Oh my god, you're doing improv off stage. I love shows that start with improv off stage. God, no! You know what? I'll call them myself. Ah! With this being my first impression of Archie, I just thought he was going to be a difficult person. It was so funny. He didn't think his friends would let him play if they knew about his injury, and the Koala Brothers had to explain that he was just making the time it would take for him to recover longer. To make sure he rests so he's all better by the tournament, the Koala Brothers invite him to their homestead so they can help him heal. Aww. How sweet. We only got one scene from the stay, and it's Archie demanding for water with a bell. And Buster, the koala brother with hair, sounds exhausted running out with a tray for him. You better leave Buster alone. You know what this scene reminded me of?
And why aren't you in uniform?
Then, at the very end, Archie wins the tournament. Was it the next day or like 4 months from then? That seems like a quick turnaround. Regardless, he is a sore winner. Look at him jumping up and down as the crowd cheers. Not to mention the fact that he won against a child, so not a flex at all. The mood mellows out as the narrator explains the lesson of the episode to us.
If you don't feel well, it's important to tell somebody.
It's a great lesson I feel like anyone from any age group can hear. Give yourself time to heal. The adults crying to Bluey, saying their adult selves needed this. That's me with Koala Brothers. Are all Australian shows this good? The real first episode of the series is Archie's new home, when he moves to the Outback and is the Koala Brothers' new neighbor. Earlier in the series, we see that Buster is more childish than his brother Frank, the bald one. In this episode specifically, Buster drags Ned to help him clean out this abandoned house, even though the kid is scared because, well, Buster's scared too. Oh, what's the matter? Are you scared? No, I'm not. You're scared. Oh, no, what's going on? Archie introduces himself to Buster by his full name, which is, of course, Archibald P. Crocodilus. So they're really leaning into his Britishness. Meanwhile, Buster the Aussie clearly doesn't know what a handshake is. Side note, I really wish this series made Archie laugh more, because this is infectious. He sounds so uppity and rich. So in defense of Buster, he's not the only one scared of the abandoned house. At this point, it has quite the reputation, so no one came to Archie's housewarming party until they renovated it. Frank seemed to be level-headed the whole time. I'm pretty sure he's the older out of the two Koala brothers. And we also see Frank get quite exasperated with his brother.
Oh dear.
Let's meet the other characters. We have Sammy the Echidna, who's a shop owner.
It's the Koala Brothers.
And George the Turtle Mailman, and they're the bestest of friends. In the episode Sammy the Postman, Sammy is covering for George and delivering the mail because George slipped on a banana peel in a very impressive way. These flips are also super impressive because this is stop motion. How did they do that? Ow. This is a classic switching places to appreciate the other more plot, but are we just going to ignore that Sammy messed up tremendously? Like, I'm so sorry, how did he get shipping labels stuck on his face? Also, I would never dream about making an innuendo about this wholesome show, but this episode makes it kind of difficult because I know a terrible fact about echidnas, and look at how many packages he's holding. We're not gonna think about what Sammy's packing, okay? He's a sweet old man. At first, it seemed like George and Sammy were way too similar. All the other characters have distinct personalities, but these two just felt like practical old men with stable careers and quirky hobbies. But the episode Sammy and the Moon changes that. Seeing Sammy with this cardboard helmet on his head, staring at the moon wishing he were there, feels more depressing than this show has any right to be. Sammy, diva. Same. If you want to admire the moon like Sammy, I don't blame you, and I also have good news for you. The Koala Brothers YouTube channel has an over hour-long video of just the moon with music box music to drift off to sleep to. We're gonna talk about all the other main characters, but while we're on the subject of Sammy, there's one character we meet that isn't even listed on the wiki. This is Bessie the Bee. Sammy is a beekeeper.
He's obviously beekeeping age.
The lesson is even.
All life is special, no matter how small.
Okay, Horton, here's the who. So yeah, she's a character as far as I'm concerned. And this is why we watch every single episode. I never would have known. Now on to the rest of our cast. Alice is a forgetful platypus. The memory loss she experiences is very similar to Dory's from Finding Nemo. Poor girl is always struggling. In the episode Alice Gets Lost, when Alice the platypus loses her way, Mitzi the possum offers to look for her, but of course the Koala brothers want to take their plane. I feel like these two are always looking for an excuse to hop on their plane. Guys, I don't really need to be flown to Sammy's, it's just a building over. Plane, 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 plane! Guys, the pollution though. The good we do counteracts it. Yeah, like Taylor Swift. That's Irish. No, don't say that. You're all stressing us out. Yeah, we have to almost run over Ned and knock down our mailbox for our mental health. Plane. In the episode Alice Gets the Hiccups, when Frank said he was going to scare Alice and then jumped in the plane, I really thought this would be the next scene. Oh heavens, whatever will I do? Oh my god, what's that? Like, listen, I would be surprised if that happened, but you can make a whole compilation of out-of-pocket moments from the show. Here, I'll start.
Ever since I started being a policeman, nobody likes me.
Well, yes,
This show mostly centers around feelings and not being afraid to ask for help, but in the episode Ned Goes Red, we witness our first medical emergency. Ned, the young wombat, stayed out in the blistering heat without a hat or sunscreen or drinking water, so he turns red and passes out. And we get this kind of scary moment of him regaining consciousness from a first-person perspective that goes from blurry to clear. I know this town is small, but they still need a doctor. George's busy day is yet another ask for help lesson. And as I was watching with my sister, yes, I force others to binge watch with me, she said they set up this episode to be about time management, and completely abandoned it. And while, yes, that is true, I'm glad they didn't stress the importance of being a good employee. First of all, that's so stressful for kids to hear about, and it's unnecessary. But also, capitalism just works differently here, of course. Mitzi didn't receive a letter and scream, "George, this letter says my papa kicked the bucket last week. Where the fuck was this?" No, dude, the stakes don't exist. This point is further driven home in the episode George Goes Faster, after he really did fuck up Mitzi's delivery by taking his sweet-ass time while her chocolates melted in the sun. The entire town still assured George that he should go at his own pace. And it isn't like he can't go faster. In this episode, he found the solution. He was on a skateboard. He was way more efficient. But they like to invite George in while he's doing his job. Meanwhile, they've never invited Lolly in. Their patience with George constantly being late is brought up again in a letter for George, when the whole town writes George letters because he's secretly wanted that for a while. While George was replying to every single one, the narrator announced that the mail was even later than usual, but no one minded. They were just happy they could make George happy. So once again, the creatures of the Outback do not have to grind. Except when you're Lolly. She takes no days off because ice cream is very serious. Lolly's gonna get her own section. She's an underrated queen.
I'm problematic.
In the episode George the Magician, Mitzi is just relentlessly bullying George when he gets stage fright.
I didn't think he'd do it.
I think she started softening up after season 1. Even though these episodes are out of order, I checked and it just seemed like she was way more abrasive and argumentative season 1. They honed her humor and character later on because they didn't get rid of her bluntness, they just channeled it in a sillier way. Like in Josie's Naughty Problem when she did this.
How's it going, Mitzi? Josie, I remember now why I wear these. I can't tie laces either.
In Mitzi's Funny Honey, we see her pranking people so she can be as funny as Buster. But everyone hated it. It was a good lesson, sure. We don't want to laugh at people and embarrass them. But I don't know why they wouldn't just explain Buster's jokes to her. It's funny because it made me laugh isn't a reason. Ned's shooting star was a reverse The Boy Who Cried Wolf situation. He told the truth about seeing a meteorite, but Mitzi convinced him he dreamt it up. Mitzi did give a heartfelt apology, though, showing definite growth. The episode Mitzi's Hide and Seek really shows the active approach the whole town takes in parenting Mitzi.
You know, Mitzi, taking turns is really important. It's no fun hiding if nobody's seeking.
You can say that again.
They let her get away with a lot more stuff earlier on. But despite all of this, in the season 3 episode Sammy's Spoons, Mitzi literally made this old man cry by saying he's the weakest member of the band. Was she wrong for that? Yeah, but also, and guys, I know this is easier said than done, but we can't let kids make us cry. So far, for our main characters that live in the Outback, we've covered the Koala brothers, Sammy, George, Archie, Mitzi, Ned, Alice, who am I missing? Oh yeah, Josie. She's a very sweet, soft-spoken kangaroo, but I don't have much to say about her. She's a great dancer, she helps Sammy run his store. In the episode Josie's Naughty Problem, we got another lesson subversion. When she was struggling to tie her shoes, it seemed like it was going to be another ask your friends for help lesson, but instead the narrator told us that Josie just needed to look at things from a different perspective. How could this possibly help with tying shoes? Well, Josie has been tying bows on presents and didn't realize it was the same for shoes. You already know I have a cutaway for this. Oh, please help me, I can't swim! I'll save you with my plane!
A few minutes later.
Thanks for saving me, I just don't know how to swim. Remember how you move around in the pool? I just move my arms and kick my legs. Why? Why don't you try that in this type of water? Wow, I'm swimming. Have I been swimming this whole time? Here's another weird lesson. For whatever reason, in the episode Archie's Giant Pumpkin, Archie just gets swept up in the moment and lies about the size of his pumpkin, and he still gets applause at the end. They said he exaggerated and didn't mean to, but there's no way he forgot his pumpkin was this size. Ned actually had the biggest pumpkin and really wanted to make the Koala Brothers pumpkin pie. But they were like, sorry, Archie's is bigger, maybe you can make us pumpkin pie another time, which doesn't sound like something they'd say. Look at how awkward they are when Ned is still sad.
More lemonade, anyone?
I really thought Archie was going to step back and let Ned present the pumpkin pie and have his moment. The pumpkin pie made from Ned's pumpkin. But Archie was the one cracking jokes, and the town cheered for both of them. I understand this episode was mostly focused on Archie's journey, but sometimes someone else's journey can end with them taking a step back to give someone else full credit. When Archie is a supporting character, he's just that. He's supportive. He's a real stand-up guy. He's a good character. We just can't enable him too much, I'm afraid. And the Koala Brothers definitely baby him more than the other adults. But here's a weird question. Is he an adult? In one episode, he lost a tooth. I don't know. How old is this man? But like I keep saying, these lessons are confusing. In the episode Archie Goes Camping, Archie expresses time and time again that he needs some alone time. But everyone keeps pushing this boundary, and the episode even ends with his friends crashing his solo camping plans. Surprise! We don't respect you! Also, Archie thinks of this as a very kind gesture because he was starting to miss his friends, but I don't know, weird lesson.
Where is everybody?
Aside from Archie moving to the Outback from somewhere else, we have constant reminders of the outside world, even though it's not our main focus. And this isn't even touching on the fact that Lolly the Emu and Penny the Penguin are from out of town. It's already a fairly small cast, so it's very interesting that 2 out of the 11 aren't even from the Outback, which is our only setting, except in the Christmas special. But I also think it's an interesting choice, because it not only shows that there's the rest of the world still, but we also get to see how welcoming the Outback is to out-of-towners. It leaves no wiggle room for depressing theories about how they're the only ones on Earth, the sole survivors of some crazy accident. No, it's just a small town. In the episode George's World, we even see George looking at a map. And he talks about all their unseen friends sending letters from other countries.
This here is a letter for Alice from France.
Also, isn't it crazy that the only 2 we see traveling in and out are birds? Migration for these flightless girlies, perhaps? Speaking of no wiggle room, there are a lot of children that live in the Outback. And usually I would ask, where are their parents or other adult family members? It's so easy to shout orphan at the top of your lungs, but shut up a second, because in the episodes Plain Crazy Ned and Ned Writes a Letter, we hear about his aunt.
You seem to have the most wonderful friends, and I can't wait to get your next letter.
Even though she's never seen, she knows he's safe, and it seems like she's well acquainted with everyone in the Outback. The adult relatives of the kids in this town for sure know it's the safest place around. Unlike Wuzzleburg, unlike Umi City. And in the episode Sammy's Bumpy Ride, they discover unfinished train tracks, meaning somebody went to the Outback, started working on transportation through it, and maybe it was an animal not native to this area, so they weren't used to the blistering heat and changed their minds.
I love you.
Lolly was always my favorite, and it took me a total of 30 seconds to remember why. She's underrated and underutilized. I always love rooting for an underdog. Take a look at this clip from Alice Makes a Movie. She's in the audience for the screening of Alice's vlog. This is how I force people to watch my videos, and boom! Next shot, she's gone. And I miss her already. Lolly's first appearance was in Lolly Comes to Town, where they confirm she's the best for miles around. And she also confirms this even more when she says, I've been driving through the Outback for weeks. It gets rather lonesome out there. Lovely to have somebody to talk to. How does she cover a larger area than the mailman? In Lolly and the Go-Kart, we see one of Lolly's greatest insecurities. Her feeling ostracized due to her size. For a second, I thought of saying more like ostrich-sized, but first of all, that's insensitive, and second of all, she's an emu, so double problematic. But seeing her throughout this episode was so sad. She does belong, and no one else is commenting on her differences, even though she's so hyper-aware of them. I wonder if other towns have made her feel like this. Aww. Lolly. It's like she's using the ice cream truck to hide herself. She's so much less confident, fully visible standing next to her shorter friends. When she was able to see how much better she was at certain things and how she was able to help because of this advantage, she felt a lot better. Also, look how cute her little run is. They really pulled inspiration from real-life emus.
Have I mentioned I love this show?
That face when you finally get a new Lolly episode, but it's of her saying goodbye. In this episode, we explore Lolly's emotional turmoil as her shift at the Outback ends. The narrator even says that when she's there, she feels like part of the group. And she was also so excited when the Koala brothers invited her to supper. They gave her a photo album to make saying goodbye easier for her because she'll always be part of the group. And it's a very sweet ending. But as you'll see, Penny, the only other character from out of town, got her own room in the homestead. So I don't know, dude, a photo album's looking pretty shitty right now. They do a lot more for Penny than Lolly. In Lolly's puppet show, we learned that she has an annual puppet show for the Outback. Despite the fact that she hasn't been to 90% of their events. She is a people pleaser. No question about it. She also went out of her way to make a new flavor, and unlike George who can take his sweet time, if she's not on her usual path, they begin to spiral. As seen in the episode Lolly's Broken Bell. When no one can hear the ice cream jingle, she has no customers. But Frank fixed it, everyone swarmed the ice cream truck, and listen to this lesson at the end.
Lolly knew that by making others happy, she'd be happy too.
Even in an episode as simple as her bell being fixed, it all comes back to Lolly's self-worth was dependent on other people needing her. If this town was full of lactose-intolerant creatures, she would have died of loneliness by now. The end. I need to see Lolly cultivating these friendships more like George has done. Because they talk to him outside of being a mailman. Same with Sammy at his shop. Same with Alice at the cafe. Lolly only has like one episode where she's not an ice cream woman. Back to her puppet show episode. When she loses her voice before the show, the Koala brothers first suggest tea, honey, and lemon, which is great, I love it. But then Frank suggests ice cream. Frank, I'm gonna be frank with you. That's a terrible idea. Both sugar and dairy are bad for your voice. Just like when Ned passed out from sun poisoning, I once again say there needs to be a doctor in the Outback. The Koala brothers are way beyond their jurisdiction. So here's where fanon comes in, okay? Follow my train of thought. I'm thinking of a dingo character named Dave. And he'd say, don't forget to dingo to the doctor when you're not feeling well. And this is what I think he'd look like. I made a little stop motion of him waving. For whatever reason, they couldn't postpone the show, so Ned and Mitzi were understudies. Lolly gets so few episodes, why couldn't she just miraculously feel better like Archie? In Mitzi's busy day when she promised to make a cake, but ran out of time and fell through on her promise, who is somebody that's used to picking up everyone else's slack? You already know Lolly made an ice cream cake that looks exactly like the homestead. Please, tell me you Koala brothers would have invited her even if you didn't need her help. And look at her reassurance.
No worries. That's all right, Mitzi.
She's perfect. In fact, she's too nice.
They eat her up every single time.
The first episode I saw Penny in, because remember it's super out of order, was Penny's Boomerang. And I immediately knew that Penny was an essential character. She only makes baby noises, and they have to play charades, or as they say, charades, to understand what she wants. Penny's actual first appearance was in the episode The Thirsty Penguin. This is the first time somebody saved the Koala brothers before they saved her. Their plane ran out of fuel, so they had to emergency land. They didn't know which way was home, and they also apparently don't know how to read maps. They've been going off memory this whole time? This is the worst episode of I Shouldn't Be Alive ever. Luckily, they run into Penny, who not only has a map, but also guides them home. They give her water because she's dehydrated, and this is when they learn about her. They look up what species she is and where she's from. Mitzi gets very angry for no reason and insists that Penny is a duck. Koala brothers probably shouldn't have let that slide. Don't let kids tell people they're wrong about what species they are. The best part of this whole episode is when Buster Buster has trouble saying goodbye to Penny, and he expresses that he wishes she could stay. I just think it's so sweet. I love kids shows that value community and new friends so much. I just wish they gave this energy to Lolly just once. In Penny's birthday surprise, Penny got into town a day early. And wait, is this a bus stop? Is there a way of getting into town that's not by foot or not on the Koala Brothers plane? Anyway, this episode was adorable. The Koala Brothers made Penny her own room in the homestead, and everyone was getting their gifts ready and they were so excited to see her. And the episode Penny Comes to Help answers my bus stop question. It isn't a bus stop, it's an airfield. So Penny waits there for the Koala Brothers to give her a ride to the homestead. On the plane. In this episode, Penny is determined to knit Lolly a gift. It was just what I needed. Thank you for appreciating her, Penny. The episode was nearly perfect. I will say, though, the way Penny was eating ice cream at the end, terrifying for no reason. And then they cut to the next shot where she's perfectly clean and the ice cream is uneaten. What powers does she possess? In the episode Penny's Big Game, when Mitzi and Archie were picking teams for a cricket match, they left Penny out because she isn't a good player. This isn't really a shock, as Mitzi and Archie are the two most brutally honest characters, but after Penny practiced and ended up being better than all of them, after 30 minutes of practicing, they let her play. Here's what annoys me. Penny is almost never there. You couldn't have let her play even if she sucked, and did a rematch with the good players the next day. Obviously, this is just to teach the whole practice makes perfect lesson, but they teach this lesson almost as much as don't be afraid to ask for help, and we never see someone practicing for multiple days, months. They're always a professional after 2 hours at most. Koala Brothers Outback Christmas aired in 2005 despite Letterboxd saying it came out in 2022. Follow me on Letterboxd. We open on Penny's home of the South Pole, and we see 3 other penguins having a snowball fight, also making these kinds of baby sounds. So I think I was right to assume this is a language barrier and not the penguins being nonverbal. But you can really interpret it either way. Both are valid. Penny had to write a letter saying she couldn't make it to Outback Christmas, like the name of the special, because she injured her wing. Buster, the koala brother with hair, was devastated. So they decide to fly to the South Pole to get Penny. We see Frank take on a more nervous and unsure role, as he's never flown this far and knows nothing about Antarctica. The other penguins help him find Penny, and from there the special is very rushed. We see Ned's insecurity in being a leader.
You're in charge! You're in charge! You're in charge! You're in charge!
Mirroring his role model, Frank. Even though Buster lost 2 maps at this point, and Frank is more fed up with him than we've ever seen.
How can you lose 2 maps in one day, Buster?
They somehow find their way back to the homestead, which is rich. Because back when they first found Penny, they were lost only a few feet away on foot. But the main conflict was them landing in the dark. But because this is a Christmas special, they turned on the Christmas lights, and it was successful. And Ned leading the whole operation gave him some confidence. The Koala Brothers had a monologue at the end where they thanked all their friends except for, I'm not even shitting you, Lolly. And I would say I can't believe we've met other penguins before we've met Ned's aunt that's been mentioned so many times. But I guess it makes sense because they need a snowy setting for the Christmas special. We can make a difference like the Koala Brothers. Don't believe me? Shut up and listen. Before we get to my cute little end credits song so you don't want to go anywhere, I'm not sure if you know this, but me and Evasive have been doing charity live streams. It has been so much fun. We've raised over $1,000 to heal Palestine. Evasive has also made a spreadsheet for different GoFundMes that need more attention. Any amount makes a difference. I'm gonna link it below. Be sure to check it out and leave more charity suggestions for future live streams. We're thinking for the Christmas one, we can go with the Trevor Project. Let me know what you think. In much stupider news, the next video is Minions lore. I'm trying my best to not have to push Wildcrats into December. That's the last thing I want to do. This video has taken way too long. So stay tuned and be sure to subscribe. Have a great day, butt lovers. Bye!
Save me tiny clay people. Life feels less real than this. I started a junk journal to shift through the trash we're in. Hey, 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 hey. Save me, Koala Brothers. Save me, Australia. I know you're sleeping right now, but maybe Bluey can distract us. Hey, hey, hey. It's a two-way mirror, you can see me, but I can't. can't see you, but I'm trying to. She looks like me, but she's there and I'm here, and I'm asking who. I'm asking you. It's like I woke up on another plane. It's like I woke up in a different state. All I see is colors through the rain, and you say goodbye, and I don't know why. Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Hey, 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 hey. Is help on its way?